This is Bass Talk Live. Your host, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrack. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Lose, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Ducket Fishing, Spro, AFCO, Big Bite Baits, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good Friday, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Yes, you are looking at a live shot of Mr. Matthew Pangrack, live via Skype. Matt, how you doing this morning?
I'm good, Mark. We've had a good week of BTL shows, all four of them.
Yeah.
This will be a good fifth one.
Yeah, GERALD Swindle today. But, dude, what is up? It's freaking wintertime. Are you kidding me?
Really cold outside. I don't know. It was warm yesterday. It's cold today. I'm still going fishing tomorrow, possibly today.
Well, it's supposed to be decent tomorrow. It's supposed to be 85 degrees next Wednesday. And there was actually sleet here in Oklahoma City this morning.
Wow. Yeah, it's chilly and drizzly outside today, so I got a bunch of I'm actually going to brave the grocery store after the show today, Mark.
Oh, very nice.
Did you see what they did to the Walmart here? I guess allegedly. Now I have not personally seen this in person or seen it. Just as what I've heard is they're only letting 10 people in at a time now.
Really?
Yeah, into the Walmart. So.
Huh. I don't know. I don't know.
But I haven't gotten groceries since all of the restrictions and all that. So I'm not I get a little anxiety, Mark.
Yeah, you do. You get a little stressed out.
Like I said, I mentioned this before. I get places early because I want to avoid the anxiety of not having a parking spot.
Jeez.
So all right, here we go.
Well,
we fixed to get some groceries.
Well, you mentioned it's been a great week. Yes, it has. And we're going to cap off the week with GERALD Swindle today. And I want to say a couple of things first, and then we're going to get into some news that somewhat broke yesterday. Listen, folks, I know Matt has. We have received just a tremendous amount of feedback from the fans out there. And we greatly, greatly appreciate the comments, the thoughts. I'm going to try over the weekend to respond to some of the emails that I haven't gotten back to. But I just want everybody to know, we're kind of stepping up doing 4 or 5 shows a week. But listen, folks, I haven't done this in the 16-year history of me doing this podcast, radio show, live stream, whatever you want to call it. There is a reason that we are continuing to do as many shows as we are. Yes, there is a time commitment. Yes, there's more work out there. But if it was not for the sponsors that are involved with this show, this would not happen. Now, I don't know if there's a way out there. I'm not the social media guy. But, folks, if you get an opportunity, please thank in some way the companies that are involved with Bass Talk Live and BTL, because I know they are going through some major challenges right now. Yes, the tackle industry stuff is selling online like crazy, and we had Rick Pierce on with Bass Cat. He's got a good outlook on things. But, folks, I'm telling you, from the bottom of my heart, and I know Matt feels the same way, this thing does not exist if it's not for the sponsors that we have on this show. So if there is a way that you can communicate to the companies that are involved in BTL, Matt and I would greatly appreciate it, because this does not happen if it's not for the support of the companies that are out there helping Matt and I do BTL on a daily basis. So any additional thoughts, Matthew?
No, well done. And I think you'll know if you are a long time or even a short time listener to BTL that we do not yeah, we'll give away some Sunline or some Big Bite Baits and stuff, or one of Jeffrey's used T-shirts from the 1975 high school championship. But we're not big on the shameless, the shameless plugs for the sponsors, and they understand that, and we understand that. So when it does come down to it, yeah, I mean, it does mean a lot, because I mean that's where my salary comes from. That's where Mark's. Believe it or not, I get paid to do BTL somehow or another.
Yeah,
I've finagled that, but that's where it comes from for me. That's where everything comes from the studio, or are those sponsors and the people that are behind them. So, all
right,
we got a guy on today who knows a thing or two about sponsors, Mark.
Yeah, we do.
The guy knows how to get it done, and has been getting it done for a very long time.
Yep. And we're going to get into that a little bit. But first, I want to talk about the announcement yesterday. Pretty much saw it coming. Major League Fishing has postponed, what was it, Stage 5 at Grand Lake? Is that correct?
Yeah, it was funny. The email came through, breaking news, and I thought that had already been done like 2 weeks ago. Oh, still on?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. So
yeah. So no surprise there. And they're
not going to fish for a long time. The Elite Series isn't going to fish for a long time. I mean, we are in the doldrums right now.
Yeah, and
from high-end tournament fishing, at least.
And more of these virtual tournaments are starting to pop up now. Have you noticed that? I saw another one last night.
Ike and Ellie's was doing something. There's a bunch of them. I've seen guys like that are doing the dovetail fish. I think it's on the dovetail fishing tournaments. It's like online. I don't know. All I know is I follow Rod Win, Reality Win. You know, the dude from the Wombass US Open with like everything is like red and black. It's super clean. Like he's like, if you think you have a clean rig, go follow Rod Win. You'll realize your rig is nothing compared to how clean he keeps his stuff.
Yeah.
He's been doing a lot of like online tournaments because he's been posting his personal best virtual largemouth every time he catches one.
That's pretty cool.
I think he's up to like 14 pounds on it.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, the other thing too, I just want to mention, I got an email yesterday from ASA, and they are planning on definitely having iCast. It says the show will go on. I got that
too. It's like register for iCast.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know about that one right now. Are you going to go if they have it?
I don't know, man. I haven't even thought about that. That's like so far removed.
I agree.
Yeah.
But it's really not. It's what, in July?
Yeah. Yeah.
God, I hope it's okay. I hope we can all go to iCast.
Yeah, it's a ways away, but at the same time, man, there's just so much going on.
Today's the bummer day, man. It's like dreary outside. It's cold. It's been a long week. And now we know for sure there ain't no fishing for a long... Ain't no fishing. Wow.
Whoa!
That just went... Now we know for sure that there isn't going to be any fishing for a very long time, at least at the professional level. Like I said, keeping all this in context, with this is just what we like to do and cover. So I'm kind of bummed out today. Are you, Mark? You feel a little...
A little bit. It was just really kind of weird going out to the studio this morning with it sleeting. And it was like freezing rain. I was just like, come on, man. It's April 3rd. Is that right? April 3rd? I think it is April 3rd.
It is.
All right.
100%.
And then, I'm always looking at the forecast, trying to figure out, because here in Oklahoma, I don't know what it's like around some other areas in the country. With me, and we've discussed this, I don't want to go out there when it's gnarly like it is today. You, on the other hand, you'll probably go out this afternoon and absolutely crush them.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're at different parts of our lives. Like, you're at the go out and enjoy it. I'm at the you got to go out when you got to go out.
Yeah.
Because I'm still putting the money in to try to get the money back in the tournaments.
Yeah.
You're not. So there's no sense in you going out and doing that.
Nah, it's more about fun for me. But next week, I am planning on Bradley. We're going to have Brad Hallman in studio on Wednesday. And afterwards, dude, I am making my first trip, and it's got to be, 10 years. We're going to go to Dirty Bird.
Well, he'll have that place dialed in.
I know. I've never been on that lake and caught fish. I think I've only
Yes,
been
you
on
have.
it. I've only
Remember,
been on it
I
like
told you
3 times.
No, remember that time 4 or 5 years ago? I had them dialed in. I told you to go there, and you threw a red trap, and
Oh, that's right.
you absolutely blistered them. You
That's
called me.
right.
You said, "Oh, I had like 10 or 11 fish for like 18 pounds."
That's right. You're
I
right.
was like, "Really?" And you were like, "Yeah, it was incredibly good." And I said, "See, I told you there's some decent fish at Dirty Bird." There's a
Yeah.
lot of dead water out there too, though.
Yeah, well, looking forward to going out with Brad. Derek in Ohio wants to know about the coffee mug today. What is it?
This is stainless steel.
Oh,
So
Okay.
here's the deal. They're all dirty in the dishwasher right now, and it wasn't right until the beginning of the show that I realized it. So it was either a mug that said "Best Frenchie Mom in the World," or
geez.
it was a stainless steel mug. So I went with the stainless steel mug.
That's probably a good choice. Probably,
But
a
I
good
do
choice.
have a lot more. I almost I got a collector's edition Rapala. Hold on just a second, Mark. I'll change it up.
What is he doing? All right, let's see what Matthew is going to grab there in the massive kitchen that they have in Tulsa. All right, what is it?
All right, we're back. Do you remember these gift sets that you could get? It would come with like a G11 Rapala, and then it's the Rapala mug, and it would come with like 2 mugs and the lure for a Christmas present.
I think so, yeah.
You know, like you get the Crown Royal thing, and it comes with the 2 Crown Royal glasses in it.
Yeah.
Same thing, except for Rapala. It's the big fish eating it. So that's my Rapala mug today. I've got like I said, this is probably going to become a thing. I kind of like it, like
Yeah.
my different mug for the day. So
People are wanting to know. All right, very cool. Anything else, man? I know the Major League Fishing thing was the primary thing. News-wise, didn't really see anything else out there. Did you see anything?
no, here's what I want. Here's what I want, Mark, and this is no joke. I would love a definitive, and maybe this is something we can do. And I know Bass has come out with the, Live Smart, Fish Smart campaign, and then Berkeley has the Fish Through It, and other companies are talking about fishing. But here's what I want. I know that I can take the boat that's in the front yard now, go to a small lake where I don't have to do a lot of gas, which is within a half hour or something, put the boat in, fish all day, be back, and feel like I've done the responsible thing as far as social distancing, as far as getting exercise, as far as getting my mind off things for mental health and not putting people in jeopardy, right? Mm-hmm. But I would love to know, like, what is the definitive rules about this stuff? Like, where can I go and say it's okay to do this, and I don't know. I would love to be able to see, state by state, county by county, town by town, what is or isn't recommended. Because some of it's like, oh, you don't want to, everyone's stay home. You don't need to be going to the gas station. Let's say you get a flat tire on the way. Now you're bringing other people out into it. So you shouldn't go fishing because there's a potential that and all this. And then other times it's like, yeah, go fishing. It's good for you. You stimulate the economy that you can while remaining safe. You see where I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right there, Mark?
Yeah.
So do you say, okay, I'm going to stay home and not possibly put anybody else at risk? Should I get a flat or have to get gas or anything? And then the other hand, you're like, okay, I'm going to order some stuff online. I'm going to put some gas in, but use gloves and then stay away from as many people as possible. Like I think about that stuff.
All right. Well, maybe somebody will throw that out there. By the way, I'm working on a future guest. I was sent a contact for a gentleman at Tackle Warehouse. And
yeah, I saw that. That's awesome. Like totally, that should happen. You need to make that happen.
Yeah, so I'm going to work on that. He is a management person with Tackle Warehouse to see, just hopefully to give the fans and to give us some inside info on what it's been like over this period for, what are they? They've got to be the #1 online tackle retailer in the U.S.
You know what I would love to know, and I don't even think you could do this, out of all of the tournament bass tackle purchased worldwide. Now, I'm not talking about just the average bass fish. I'm talking about club level all the way up through BPT Elite Series guys, right?
Yeah.
Tournament guys who buy stuff for tournaments. What percentage of that comes from Tackle Warehouse, do you think now? Like, what percentage of that tournament market buying from guys who are getting ready for their club tournament, local, regional, BFLs, Opens, Toyota Series, comes from Tackle Warehouse?
It's just a guess, but I would say 65%.
Out of everything throughout the entire country, you think 60 to 65% is coming from Tackle Warehouse, not BPS, Cabela's, mom and pop local stores?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
I do.
That's insane. That's a lot.
I do. Now, you're talking about, hey, I've got this tournament coming up. I need to get some whatevers.
Yeah, tournament angler purchases.
Yeah, I would say it was fairly high, 60, 65%.
Because, I mean, there's a bunch of people who are bass fishing or going to Walmart who are buying what's on the shelf there that don't even know Tackle Warehouse exists. And, they're going out to their ponds and lakes and stuff and bass fishing. But I'm talking about, the guys who are buying something with a purpose for an event coming up.
Well, let me throw this question out at you. What percentage of tournament anglers are aware of Tackle Warehouse?
Oh, everybody. I would venture to say 95 to 100%.
That's what I'm saying.
95%?
That's why I think that 60 to 65% number is not out of line.
Yeah, but I mean, I think there's a lot of guys who buy from their local tackle shops I'm
not disagreeing
if
with
it's
that.
There.
I'm not disagreeing with that. But when they are looking for something specific,
right,
that's what they're doing.
Yeah, if Lucky Lure doesn't have it, I'm going to Tackle Warehouse.
Yeah.
Is the way it comes down for me.
Yep. I agree.
Fortunately, Lucky Lure has a bunch of stuff, but sometimes they don't.
All right. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break. And hopefully we will come back with Mr. GERALD Swindle here in just a few minutes. So once again, folks, please support these companies that are making BTL happen. And I don't know, I'm sure some people out there can come up with creative ways to recognize these companies by supporting.
That's Swindle.
BTL.
He's like the most creative social media guy ever.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll ask him. All right, everybody, stay tuned on a Friday.
Search for the best combination of value and performance is over. It ends with Elite TI2. From high-res views of active imaging to mapping in real time with Genesis Live, the high-powered performance of Elite TI2 continues to dominate. And now, wirelessly share sonar waypoints and routes between TI2 displays. Get up to $200 cash back when you purchase a Lowrance Elite TI2 or Hook Reveal display. Visit Lowrance.com/offers for details.
Yeah, you care about gear ratios, inches per turn, and ball bearings, but most importantly, you want reliability and dependability in the equipment you use. Luz doesn't cut corners when it comes to the gear they build. The new Speed Spool LFS is the best $99 reel in the market. Go see for yourself.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it in sexy shad color?
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage.
Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency.
Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duckett Fishing, pro-driven.
I want to share with you a new product we got coming out from Sunline. This is the FC liter size spools that we have now. We've gotten a lot of requests for this. A lot of you guys use fluorocarbon for liters only, myself included. And one of the problems you have is when you have a 200-yard spool, that might last you 2, 3, 4 years. You might even lose it before you even get done with the spool. So we've gone to a little smaller spool. These are 50-yard spool sizes. You know, that way you're not holding your line on forever. You can keep your line fresh, use it when you can, stores real easily in the boat. We got all of our popular line sizes that you're used to with our Sniper from 5 to 14 pound. If you guys are looking for a line that you're only tying for a liter, go check out Sunline FC Liter 100% fluorocarbon and give it a try.
All right, we are back on a Friday with our special guest, Mr. Gerald Swindle. Who is that?
We got to keep him up there. I had Gemma the French Bulldog on the show the other day.
Look here.
Nice.
This is where he sits. When mom's at her computer, he sits in her lap, so he thinks he's big timing now. What's up, bud? Did you watch the Tiger King? No, that's what I thought. See?
Jeez, you haven't.
Say hello.
Have you watched it, Gerald?
Lord, no, I ain't watched that stuff.
I figured that'd be right up your alley.
I got some kin folks that's on meth and walks with a limp that knows a lot about cats, but I don't know if I'd watch the whole thing.
Hey, Zaldane was in studio, and on his way back to Fort Worth, he stopped by the place. He was so intrigued.
It was funny. The guy, one of our guys from Mossy Oak, one of my guys I deal with their shed, his dad that's where the town they're from is where that come from. His uncle was a vet, so he did work for this guy. His other uncle flew the plane for him. They all know him. He said, dude, it's not made up. He said, it's the biggest twisted thing you've ever seen in your life.
Wow.
Jeffries voted for him.
I did not.
For governor and president.
I did not. Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez, I did not. Absolutely not. All right, man.
How are you guys holding up on the quarantine? Y'all have been stuck in here doing these videos. Are y'all holding up okay?
Yeah, it's good. We've went to 5 shows a week, and a couple of shows. Matt is remote, like he is today in Tulsa. But it's been good, man. A lot of people getting out fishing. I've been a couple times. The ramps are absolutely jam-packed, but people are respecting the fact that they need to be separated and there is no gathering of groups. So I'm sure it's the same way in Alabama.
It is. You know, the ramps are packed. You don't see anybody really gathering around the ramp, and they're not having tournaments, so they're being truly respectful for what the governor and everybody's asked for, the 6 foot distance, you know, and hey, at least you got a spot or two to fish by yourself. I mean, if anybody gets too close, you just give them that old dry cough, and they'll just ease on back, man. It's amazing. You ain't got to say nothing. They'll be like, oh, he got that Rona. Let's get upwind of him.
So how much time have you spent on the water? I'm sorry, Matt.
Oh, that's the same thing I was going to ask. I was going to say, man, like you're getting April on Gunnersville. It's had to have been a few years since you've gotten to wet the boat on that pond this time of the year.
That's exactly what I told Leanne. I said, I don't remember being able to do this, just get out and practice sight fishing. I've actually gone, you know, and it's weird because I went from just going fishing a couple of days and now I'm going fishing with a purpose, because with us not fishing tournaments, it's going to be important, you know, for everybody's social media to rise the occasion to help the sponsors out and not being able to sell nothing. So I've been going out and doing a lot of y'all's work where I'm filming with a purpose. So I haven't just went all day much just to go. Leanne and I've crappie fished a little bit, but we have been out on Gunnersville and jacked on a few. She went the other day and I tied her on a Nico rig, and she thought she was Jordan Lee winning the classic, so she was whacking on them. She said, there's nothing to this. I don't know what the problem is. Jeez. So they're starting to bite, but it hadn't been, Matt, like you think, like you just go down the bite and catch 100. That ain't there yet. Our water's been so up and down. We get a flood. It'll rise, they drop it back down, rise, drop it back down, and it's still stained. So it hasn't been as good, but I think her and I are probably going to go up to our farm in Jasper tomorrow before. It looks like the state might put us on a shelter in place in the next couple of days. So we think we're going to do that at the farm where we got more, a lot of land to move around on. But if we get a chance, we're going to go on Smith and check it out. But I haven't got to fish like this at home in a while, and it's different, man. It really is. And it's kind of weird. There's no tournament. So you're like just standing around like, I don't know what to do.
You mentioned a little bit about the sponsors. You obviously are one of the guys who has had an extensive sponsor portfolio over the years. I've talked with a number of different professional anglers from a number of different trails on how they're dealing with this, and kind of talk about your interaction with the sponsors. I mean, I think the average guy thinks, oh, these guys fish tournaments, catch fish on the baits, people buy the baits, and they send them a check. But talk a little bit about some of the interaction you've had with your sponsors and how you're maintaining your, for lack of a better term, value with them when there is no Bass Live, there are no tournaments being fished for the foreseeable future.
That's a great point, Matt, because what Leanne and I have done is we've actually just started reaching out to them. Immediately when this started, we just start reaching out. And I say, hey, guys, tell us what we can do. You tell me what Gerald Swindle Inc. can do to help us through these tough times, because I'm more worried about sponsors, losing money, marketing budget going down. They're not being able to sell. They're not being able to do what they're supposed to do. So how can I contribute? Not as much worried about, hey, are you still going to pay me? We've even had a sponsor reach out, and say, hey, we're going to have to hold second quarter money, just period, till we get back to work. And I told her, I said, just email them right back and you let them know I'm going to still be promoting product. I'm going to keep doing my job. This is just tough times. And I understand that they may not can pay us, but it doesn't mean I should turn my back on them. I got to keep doing what they've asked me to do, because that's the only way we're going to recover. So we've looked at it from a total business standpoint and said, hey, let's go to the lake with a purpose. Let's go out there. And I'm not a good editor. And my wife will tell you, I get absolutely fighting mad because I can't work none of that crap like y'all do. I wish some of y'all lived around me, but I know it's what has to be done. You have to, this is a great time to maybe talk about fishing, teach people how to fish, take somebody fishing. We don't know, honestly, in the long run, guys, if this may not help the sport of bass fishing. It sounds, as crazy as that sounds, there's more people fishing right now than ever. Maybe it's going to help us. Maybe it's going to increase license sales for younger generation. I don't know, but until then, I want to find out what my sponsors need, and I'm just going to try to work for them. I'm not saying I'm a sponsor ho, but I'm not going to be sponsor po. I'm going to do whatever they ask me to do, and that's just like what you guys are doing. You have to step up your game. There's no tournaments to cover, so you guys are immediately make adjustments. She's like, hey, take tournaments out. What are we going to do? You guys go right to work. We're going to do 5 shows a week. It ain't what you normally do, but it's what you got to do.
Yeah, great points there, Gerald. All right. With this time off, and with a lot of guys that we've spoke with during this time, springtime, are you working on any part of your game to improve it? I mean, good grief, you've been doing this forever. Is there a part of your game that during the springtime that you can actually make your game better? What would that be?
I think one of the things I worked on the other day, I went back to the lake I grew up on and shot a piece for bass, and I just be completely transparent. I mean, I turned 50 this year, and my eyes aren't what they used to be. And in the last couple of years, we haven't, in MLF, sight fishing wasn't an issue. In the year before that, we didn't have a great sight fishing trail on the elites. I went back just to sight fish some, just to see where my eyes were at. It wasn't as much as could I catch them. I really wanted to see where my eyes were. Could I see them as good as I used to could? Look in different waters. And that sounds crazy. And I just swapped glasses, just easing around, just to try to keep your game up, to try to find one in the wind and see if you could hold a boat on them. It sounds so like cliche, but it's a key factor, on being able to get out there and do that. So yeah, you can work on your game. You can work on some things in the spring. One of the things that I'm seeing, and I'll just be honest, it's like really pissing me off just to come out. I don't understand why people are going to the lake and catching a live well full of sight fish, keeping them to the end of the day and taking a picture. Can somebody please, dear God, tell me why we're doing that?
Yeah, great point.
It's a fair point.
I mean,
did you catch any?
I caught some, but I turned them immediately back. But I see guys that put them in the live well and haul them around and then say, great day sight fishing, and you see the sun setting behind them, and I'm thinking, why? Why not just put him right back? I don't get it. You're not fishing for money, which sounds crazy, and I know people are going to probably go crazy over that. And they'll say, what's the difference in fishing for money and putting them in a live well and just putting them in a live well? Because as Matt, as you know, if he dies in your live well tournament, Matt loses money. So Matt falls in love with that fish as soon as he goes in the live well, and he immediately keeps checking them. Every time you stop, it becomes a priority. I think when you're just fun fishing, it's easy to forget about the fish in the live well. So I'm just an old school guy. I don't see catching a bunch of them and keeping them.
Historically, have you been a big sight fishing guy? I mean, I'm going back over trying to think of the tournaments you've done really well, and I can't ever remember you really. I mean, that stuff on Clear Lake wasn't sight fishing, wasn't? Where you were like,
I caught one or two doing it, but no, I'm not known for the Rojas style or the John Cox style, but I was doing a piece for Bass, so that I talked a lot about that. My style of sight fishing is different. I really enjoy sight fishing when there's not many on the bed, or when they're past that heavy spawn mat where they get real funky and they cruise and they get hard to catch. I've made some really good catching some of those fish that are really weird, just chasing them around. But I do always try to work on my game and seeing them.
All right, so you mentioned a little bit before we went on. All good?
Yeah, I'm getting her to get this. She's got some, Lulu's got her anniversary or somebody popping up right there. There we go. You see Lulu jumping the same there?
Yeah, she's got you covered. All right, so you mentioned Gunnersville. We saw in the Classic and since then all across Alabama, kind of that area, you've had a lot of water that's up, a lot of water that's down, stained water. You've had some really warm days. Then like it's sleeting here in Oklahoma. It's April. These suckers want to be on the beds. You get on the water, it's like 60-something degrees. But it's hard to find these freaking sight fish. Like I want to go sight fish, but let's just take a normal lake for the average guy who wants to go sight fish under the conditions that it's kind of been like across this kind of Midwest South region. If you want to go look at a high percentage area of the lake that most likely you'll be the most likely able to see these fish in with these conditions that we've been having, just kind of lay it out there for the guys. Let's say you haven't been to the lake for the month or two. Where are you starting to look to say, this is where I think the most fish will be up, that I have the best chance of seeing?
The simplest way I know to do that, and I still do it today, is when I put my boat in, I'll look at the lake in a general, like zoom out, and I'll look at that entire lake. You find the biggest pockets or the creeks that run back away from the current. In other words, if the current's flowing from north to south, you find a creek or a pocket that turns and goes back up. So there's less current flow in there. So any pocket that goes you don't normally want to start in the ones that the current of the lake could flow in or the north wind could blow in the most. So you hunt a protected area, a pocket or a creek or a long, narrow pocket that goes back against the river where there's no current in there. It's generally where you're going to find them first. The lower ends of the lake, they're usually always better because the water's going to be a little cleaner. That's just a basic rule I use. Stay out of the current, get something that's protected, go back against it, go against the grain, and they'll be in there. You naturally bushes and cover like that and grass, but to me, most time it's just staying out of that winter current.
There you go.
The first ones that go up anyway, and usually, but you're right, it's the hardest. Like even at Gunnersville, people think because there's so many big fish here that this is just be a great sight fishing. Like it's horrible. Because it's wide open, there's so much grass. We got floating eelgrass, so much color in the water, and I'll tell you, there's some of the hardest to catch. You would think, they'll be dumb as a rock. They're not. It's the weirdest thing in the world. They will work you over. I get, because sometimes you have to get so close to them to see them. To me, Gunnersville's pretty trying, and you can't see in a lot of places. It ain't like a Smith Lake where you can go see the whole pocket when you just troll down the middle of it. So to me, I like to work in those conditions just to keep you on your game.
So what would be the best sight fishing lake in Alabama, in your opinion?
The funnest is probably Smith Lake because you can catch spots or largemouth and the visibility is so good. You can see so good. I would put it up there with one of the top sight fishing lakes, not for a 30-pound bag, but for being able to see a lot of fish and different types of fish in different scenarios. They bed on the bluffs, they bed in the bushes, they bed behind the docks. I'd put it right up there with the best.
Is there such thing as a tough spotted bass on the bed, or does that exist?
Nope. Why do you think I like going there, man?
I've got limited experience, but I know you go to 10 Killer, and it's like largemouth, pain in the ass, largemouth, pain in the ass, spotted bass, red eyes, sees the boat, tries to eat the trolling motor.
I mean, they're just aggressive, dude. It's like you turn on the hot and now ready sign at Krispy Kreme donut. They're just so protective. They're not as hard to catch. It's a great place to go film or teach somebody to sight fish, but a spotted bass is truly a different animal. When he beds, he gets pissed quick. A largemouth, sometimes, like I said, they're super spooky. That make you so mad, but spots on the bed, they can't take it. They like smallmouth. They'll just chase it down.
All right, man. What are your thoughts if Bass has to move the schedule to try and get as many events in to where you guys are actually fishing in October, November, and maybe even December? What are your thoughts?
I love it. Nobody wants to eat the same cooking their whole life. I mean, I looked at this as a change. It could be a great thing. We know who can sight fish. We know who can ledge fish. Let's figure out now who can fall fish. And I told Chase that when this deal originally started. I said, we need to, maybe you got more reminders. Oh, it went away. I said, we need to look at this as a way we still got to fish. I don't want to hear anybody complain about, I'm going to miss hunting season. Hey, ain't nobody hunts no more than me. I love it. I love it more than Tiger King loves them tigers. But we got tournaments to fish. And if the fall offers us a different scenario, then let's go with it. Let's make the best of it. It could be some great TV. I mean, it's probably been a minute since you guys have covered some great fall tournaments where it's a whole different pattern. I look at it as in, could it be a positive? Probably, but I have no problem fishing through the fall to give the fans and the sponsors and the organization a chance to recover.
All right.
What's crazy is there's like probably a third to a half of the Elite Series field right now that have never fished a professional tournament in the fall. I mean, guys who've been doing it for a while, like even like we had Zaldane on yesterday, like he's never fished an Elite Series or any of that stuff in the fall. He's been doing it for 9 years. Like there's like you, Rick, Fritz, Yellis, couple guys like that are used to that old fall schedule.
I mean, for years, that's how it was. You fished a couple in the spring and the rest in the fall. And I kind of enjoyed that. It offers so much more to do. The burning the spinner baits, a lot of them fall bites, they just kind of faded away. I think if it's what we got to do, we got to do it. I told Chase this. I said, what if we come out learning something? What if we come out realizing that, hey, maybe in September we get the biggest ratings we ever got because there ain't much going on. So you go to a northern lake in September and you catch them burning a spinnerbait, or October. Wouldn't that kind of be fun on TV? I said, we're going to fish them. I have no problem doing it in the fall.
And you got to do a Tuesday through Friday tournament so then everybody can watch their football on Saturday.
Well, I mean,
I'm just saying.
Oklahoma had a good year. I know y'all want to go back at it, but I do think, you could weigh in by 2 and catch most of the games. Hey, you can put the game on live beside the stage. Now, there's your thought process.
Yeah, I guess most of the football, all the Alabama 11:30 starts are against like Citadel and stuff like that. So as long as you catch the first couple possessions, it's over. You can go back to watching the fishing.
I think it's going to be good this year. I mean, I'm sure, Matt, some of your tournaments you scheduled, you like to fish. Are you going to be moved to the fall too?
Yeah. Well, see, here's the deal. I love fishing the fall, Joe, because it's you've seen me at every Elite Series event since 2008. You guys fish all this time when everybody fishes in Oklahoma. So the only time I've ever been able to fish is the fall. I was telling one of my buddies, I'm like, why do I get my ass kicked like April, May, June, July? He's like, because you've never fished Oklahoma those months. You're always covering the Elite Series. Then when everybody in Oklahoma is not fishing, that's when you do fish. So I love fishing the fall.
I do too. I think it's a twist, and it really keeps people on their game. But I never thought about that. You do. You run the roads from February to the end of June, so there ain't much sight fishing for you.
I've watched a lot of people sight fish, which doesn't really help the cause.
No, that's like watching somebody kiss your girlfriend. It's like, no, this is not fun. This is not fun.
All right, Gerald, I want to go back in history a little bit, and I want to see if you can recall anything from this event. According to the info that's on the Bassmaster website, your first BASS event was back in 1995. It was the New York Eastern Invitational at the St. Lawrence River. What do you remember from that event?
I think I beat 3 people. I think it was 300 people or something. I was like 297. I mean, I was like horrible. I went up there. It was my first time to ever fish big water. No GPS. Didn't have nothing but a flasher. And, dude, I took it on the chin. I'm talking about I got the brakes beat off me. Had never fished for smallmouth. Not like that. I mean, I was as lost as you've ever wanted to see somebody. Took a royal beating, and I think if you'll keep looking, the very next tournament was at Potomac, and I think I beat maybe one person. I'd never fished out of water. Just back up there with that flasher. Didn't know how to read a tide chart. Didn't know anybody to talk to. I just went, and I really struggled. It wasn't no Smith Lake, and I took a beating.
Why did you decide to make your debut for those two events?
You know me, I ain't very smart. I had the money saved up, and I was like, well, I'm going for it, and I figured you had to jump in sometime. I'd never even drove that far from home at that time. I'd never been 20-something hours away. I didn't know, and I knew I had to start somewhere. But, those first two tournaments that I got just blistered in and come home, there were several people that after that reminded me that they didn't think I belonged out there. And it was like the fire of all fires lit inside of me, because after those two events, I didn't look like I belonged out there. I didn't. I mean, I got beat down. But I think if you look at those next two events, what were they?
Oh, you went on a run. I mean, you got your first check at Lanier at the Georgia Eastern Invitational. You finished 8th. You got $4,500. What do you remember from that?
I remembered I come home and thought, well, I got enough money to eat potted meat for another month anyway. I think it was that confidence builder where you reach out there and you get a little confidence going. And he's like, hey, I can do this. But the first two failures, I think were really was like putting nitrous on the motor for me to say, you know what? Yep, you sucked it up, but you're going to figure this out and you're going to keep doing it. And then Lanier was a little success, and we went on and kind of got our feet up under us. But sometimes I think you just got to get checked. I mean, it's like getting checked in hockey every now and then, Matt. It kind of wakes you up, don't you? Like, well, I got to get my shit together here, boys. They're going to bring the heat.
All right, let's go back to 1996. You finished second at Lake Gadsden in the Virginia Eastern Invitational. Your best finish so far. Dude, you're kind of on a roll. What do you remember from that event?
I got beat by a guy throwing a wiggle wart in dirty water. I remember that. I'm trying to remember that guy's name, and he beat me by just like a pound or so. And I remember going there, still not knowing nobody, still not knowing nothing. And I was like, I finally got to a lake that it looked something like I was familiar with, and I was just skipping a jig under docks, just skipping a jig, and it was one of them that once I drove away from there, the confidence kept building and building. I was like, okay, so it wasn't proving to anybody else what I could do, it's proving to myself. And I think that having that confidence is key at an early level to stay out there. And then from then on, it just kind of kept rolling.
What was your first big, and when I say big, I mean you're getting a check. What was your first big sponsorship deal?
$200 a month from Zoom Bait Company.
Really?
Yeah, it's pimping, baby. And I was so glad to have it. It was like it's like I got a brand new car, and then I got a little help from a boat company called Aries Boats, and, then it kind of just, I signed on with Eagle Claw, and I think it was like $200 a month, and I wore the patch, just a big Eagle Claw patch. I told everybody I was kind of country when country wasn't cool. That's the way I was with Eagle Claw. I was with them before they had Trocar and all that, and, those were some of the first few sponsors I had. But that $200 a month went a long way when you're still framing houses and trying to keep at it, and still to this day, I'm still with Zoom.
For those fans out there that may not realize it, one of the big first corporate deals that was very recognizable, we've talked about it a little bit before when you were on the show, was Citgo. How important was Citgo to your career, Gerald?
It was huge. It was one of the biggest steps I needed financially, and there was a story behind that I just really never said a lot about. If you remember, there was a Crown Royal team out there. Yep. And at that time, Crown Royal was paying what nobody else thought they could make. Those guys were making $80,000 to $100,000 a year. And I had been approached by that deal. And I went to my mom and I said, I got an opportunity. I said, Crown Royal wants me to run their truck and boat. And I said, it pays really big. And she just made me promise her. She said, you promise me that you won't run an alcohol deal till after I die. And I'm like, you don't ask a lot of me. So I turned it down. I said, guys, I can't do it. I said, my mother says it would, I got young fans and cousins and nieces. She said, it just ain't going to look good. And then right after that, Jeffries, the Citgo deer kind of just fell in my lap. And it was like that was. So it was more to that deal than just the financial stability. It was like I took a chance, and it worked out. And then once I started working with Citco, I started working with Lance Peck, and still to this day, I work with Lance through Dynamic, through my Toyota deal. But the Citco deal offered me my first big break, the financial security where if you didn't get a check, it wasn't the end of the world. But what that does is it lets you fish kind of brave. It lets you do things that you normally wouldn't do. You know, you get gutsy because you're like, hey, it ain't the end of the world. So I think it was the what I needed to kind of to get me going.
Did you guys realize how good it was back then? I mean, when you had all that, and then you went into that in 06 with like the majors and the $250,000, and you had the G-Man's Garage and the TV shows going then. And I mean, you're literally like Sports Center top 10 stuff right during that. Did you sit around and go, dude, this is awesome? Or was it one of those things where you look back on and then we're like, oh, that was awesome?
I think I look back on it now more and appreciate it then. I was so caught up in the hustle of the game or trying to get better at fishing, trying to compete more, trying to make more classics. You just so caught up in the competition and you're doing the work and you know it's there, but you don't know how big it is till now. And you look back and you think, God, those are the good old days. And we were working our butts off, but there were so many opportunities. And now there's so many great anglers. There's so many other opportunities. It's really hard to get that much going at one time.
What do you think happened on the one thing with all that to go from, I mean, because I guess the next step after that would be like kind of NASCAR status with what you were doing with the live shows. Like, was there one thing that happened, and I don't want to say like regress, but just kind of like knocked it back from growing from there? Or can you look back on one thing that said, man, I wish someone had done this differently to keep this momentum building? Or was it just simply the fact that a recession hit?
I think it was a recession. You know, ESPN was starting to sell out, and they wasn't putting as much money into it. They wouldn't want to create as many shows, and then the recession hit. I think it was just kind of perfect timing for it to slow down, and that seems to be a trend in fishing that you get the momentum going, we have recession. You get the momentum going, you have recession. But one thing is about it is fishing is resilient. It always bounces back. It may never be what you thought was as good as it is now, but it seems to me like if you really break it down, it's still pretty good. But the recession killed that whole deal because so many companies were putting money into it and trying some things. But it seems like fishing on people always say, I want to get the non-endemic sponsors. Hey, that's great, but a non-endemic sponsor, when these big cuts start coming, fishing doesn't rate as high as maybe NASCAR or IndyCar racing, so you're subject to getting the first cut.
All right, let's do this, Gerald. There's a ton of questions on the instant feedback. Let's take a quick break, then we will come back and throw some questions at you from the fans. How's that sound?
That sounds good to me.
All right, we're going to take a break. Come back here on a Friday with GERALD Swindle. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
Blue Water by TH Marine. Offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Popper to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
While I travel the country on the Bassmaster Elite Series, I simply can't let the weather be the reason I don't win $100,000. That's why I use AFCO clothing to keep me warm, dry, and protected from whatever Mother Nature wants to throw at me. My season depends on it. My career depends on it. AFCO, any fish, any water.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
The Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim On is a very unique bait, and it's got a full body but with ribs to give it a bigger profile but not more plastic. It's got a jointed tail that gives it a lot of action, as well as this up and down crawl type trail with holes and ribs in it, so it creates a bubble trail almost. This bait is supposed to be fished upside down or vertical like this on a great for a chatterbait. I prefer it on a swim jig as well, but you can also cut it down and put it on the back of a finesse jig. You know, flip it around for some spotted bass or flipping docks. Anytime you want a small, compact, you know, little trailer for it, this is great for it. So check out the full lineup of swim-ons at bigbitebaits.com.
All right, we are back. It is time to go to the instant feedback with our special guest, GERALD SWINDLE. And got a lot, and I'll try to get to as many as I can here. Let's see here. Derek from Ohio says, hey, this is non-fish related, but he wants to know what the coolest belt buckle you own.
The two coolest. Honestly, dude, I had a guy make me one. The first time we went to down to not Amistad, but the other good lake down there. Falcon. The first time we went down there, a man and his son come up, and he's like, "My dad makes belts, man. He makes these belt buckles, and he made this with his own hands and grinded it down, and it's like really badass, dude." And he give it to me. It's like really cool. It's got like a rope around it and a fish. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, I got a pretty cool belt buckle.
Do you have a heavyweight belt? You do, don't you?
Yes, I do have a heavyweight belt from Clear Lake. Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of Clear Lake.
My belt. Yeah, it's Clear Lake, but you can't wear it with jeans. It don't fit to the belt. It's very good. I tried.
Are those things heavy? Like, is it legit? Really? Like a legit belt?
Yes, it's really heavy.
Championship belt?
Yes.
Whose idea was that? Was that Dave Smith's idea?
I think so. I think Bass come up with it when somebody started breaking the 100-pound mark, but I think Dave kind of said, you know what, let's do something special on it. And I still tell Leanne, I say, it's still one of the coolest awards I've ever won is to have that belt hanging in there, because people pick it up and they're like, dude, this is real. This is like a real belt. I'm like, yep. So,
all right. Speaking of Clear Lake, TJ in North Carolina wants to know, what bait did you catch that giant on at Clear Lake?
It was like a crystal clear shad Bastric swim bait, the 5-inch. First time I'd ever fished him, I bought him up there, and I didn't know nothing about him. I just put a hook in and went slinging it around. 15-pound monofilament, huh? How about that?
Wow.
Mono.
Hey, back in, baby, you just throw what you got in the boat. You're like, I'm throwing this.
So we had two swim bait guys. We had Carl on, who talked about the glide baits for 2 hours, and we had Zaldane on, who talked about his mag draft for 2 hours. Then before we went on, you made fun of me about swim baits. Do you even have those? Do you own them? Do you have glide baits? What's the deal with you? I mean,
I don't know.
Why not?
Have you wrote many articles on the tournaments being won on them?
That's a good point, Matt.
I mean, you could write. I mean, if you're the first half of the tournament or like one day.
Hey, I mean, tournament she wrote about a jig or Nico rig.
Yeah. Well, Byron Velvick on Clear Lake.
That's the only
Steve
one.
Kennedy.
Yeah.
Steve Kennedy on Clear Lake.
Steve's was his a glide or a big swimmer?
His was a big swimmer. But I'm lumping glide and big swimmer all into one there.
Okay. You'll see a rarity of that, but like to me, when they come out, I have messed with some glide baits and I'll throw them here and there, but it didn't take me long of fishing them. When it first come out, I thought, man, this is a trap. You know, it's fun to throw. It's so inconsistent day to day. I thought there's not going to be any consistency in this bait. It's not going to be a great 5-fish tournament bait. And I just kind of give up on it. Maybe it's just me, but I was like, no, this is not a meat and potato kind of bait for 5-fish tournament.
And you're a consistent guy. Look at your results.
So I still think I admire people to throw them. I mean, Matt Lee's been with me before. And it's so funny at Gunners. Well, he was throwing some big thing he bought in a glass case. It looked like a sex toy he bought at Big Rachel's Cabaret or something. And they're just eating a big crankbait. And I mean, I'm just wailing on him. He's throwing that thing forever, never got a bite. And I'm like, man, that thing you're throwing's awesome. You know, and I'm like, it just not my deal. I mean, I just soon throw a Zoom swim bait, just a regular old swimmer.
Hey, that's a great point.
Like that.
That's a good answer. I mean, no, you think about the consistency. I mean, you've made a career out of consistency, bringing in 5 fish, weighing them, and making cuts. That's not how you do that, by throwing an 8-inch bait that weighs 3.5 ounces. It's made out of cedar.
But you can get a big one on it. You know that. You can catch a giant on it, and it's a commitment, and I do think it's an art and a craft to it. I just don't know where it fits in the tournament fishing in my world, so I just try to slack off of it. There's a couple of baits like that I just never have went crazy over. I try.
What are the others?
There's been a few down the line that I'm like, I don't know, you know. There's some weird stuff out there. You know how it is. I seen some of them beetle walking top water baits that wobble, and I'm like,
Pompadour?
Yeah, that looks cool, and I'm like, probably not. You know,
got the metal wings on it, and it rolls just like a drunk guy in a kayak.
It look like Porosnik had too much to drink coming down the hallway. So I think there's baits out there that are fun to throw, but they're not made for tournament fishing.
There you go.
All right, Chris in Kansas wants to know: would you like to see the Classic in the fall?
Absolutely, just one time. I would like to see it go back there a little bit. If nothing else, for the reason is, what do we learn from this Classic? It's the flu season, and it's usually cold, and everybody comes inside. Yeah, they have good crowds, but we may end up having, you know, you never know. Could it go back to the fall before it starts getting flu season and help prevent some of this? Could be. But I'm all about changing it up. You know, I think once you get locked into the stigma of fishing the Classic at the same time of year, like in February, I get it. The consistency of the fans, but I would like to see some of it go to the fall.
All right, Jeff in Tennessee wants to know, any idea if Phoenix is going to come out with an aluminum boat?
Woo, boy, you might know too much. I know they have the vision of doing it, and I know they're talking about it, and I know they would love to do it. I just don't know how long it's going to take them. They have the property and the facility to do it. They're just booming so much, and all they got going on. I've talked to Teresa and Gary about it, and they would love to do it. So I do think in the future you'll see it.
All right, let's.
And my wife's in the background going, "We hope, because we want one."
I didn't even know this exists. Our good friend in New York, Big Polly, wants to know: do they have Mountain Dew flavored Doritos?
Ooh. Big Polly. My wife says she's seen that on Facebook, but I ain't seen. True or not. She don't know if it's true. You know how Facebook is.
Did you see it on April? Did you see it 2 days ago?
No, she seen it 2 days ago.
Yeah, you know what 2 days ago was, right?
That's April Fool's. Hey, and those chips could be with Carol Baskin, and she killed her husband. So I don't know. I
thought you said you had watched that.
You can't get away from Facebook without knowing who Carol Baskin is.
The truth is coming out. You've watched it. You watched all 7 episodes.
No.
Yeah, you even hit that little button so you don't have to watch the preview every time. It just goes straight in. So it's like a 7.5-hour documentary.
No. So I don't know. Mountain Dew, I don't know. I've never seen it. So I'm going to say no on the chips.
Clay in Arkansas wants to know, can you give any details looking back at your win on Beaver Lake?
Yeah. Being raised on Smith Lake and all that, and fighting those same clear water conditions and the water jumping up and down, that one just fell right in my wheelhouse. We haven't had many tournaments like that since. One at Table Rock, I finished third. I've been through a lot of those scenarios with the clear water and it gets stained and jumps up high. I grew up fishing that way, and when it got there, I knew to catch them on a big spinnerbait. I knew baits that put off a lot of flash and had the ability to make fish move out of thick cover would be good. I knew the flipping sawdust mats would be good, so it's just something I had done that hadn't really been exposed on the TV level yet. So when we hit that scenario, I knew exactly what to do.
Areas? Do you remember any of the areas?
Oh, yes. I fished above the bridge the whole time. I went under the bridge, kind of up the river, not all the way up.
Yeah.
Probably about 3 or 4 miles above the bridge is where I started on a lot of those flat pockets, where I could get in some of those areas and get behind it. Get behind all the cover. When the trees flooded, I could get in behind them and fish on a lot of those flat pockets.
A couple of people want to know, back to the Clear Lake catch, was that your most memorable catch, Gerald?
It's one of them. It is one of them, and that's one of those catches that, I don't know, it seems like I think back on it and think how simple it seemed to be, because I seen the fish that morning cruising, and it wasn't on bed, it just cruising back and forth, and there was one little piece of wood sticking up where the concrete sidewalk was laid, and the little board in there where they actually go in and lay the concrete out was sticking up a little bit. So I kind of had that marked in my mind, and when I come back, I kept thinking if the shadow got over that wall and put a little shadow there after lunch, the fish might bite if you could surprise a long cast. And I went there and made that cast, and I'm reeling it, and I'm watching that piece of wood, and I'm thinking my bait's got to be getting close. And then I just remember it just like a train hit it, and I jerked when he jumped. I'm like, I ain't never caught many 11-pounders. I've caught a few big ones, but I've caught lots of 8s and 9s over my times of fishing. But when you get to that double digits, that 10, 11, that's a rarity, and I kind of freaked out.
I gotta jump in here, guys. This is on March 30th, and it appears that Mountain Dew flavored Doritos do exist. And according to Yahoo Lifestyle, they take snacking to a whole new level. But here's what I've been able to find. It is what they do. It's a new snack that appears to be an Australia exclusive right now. So Carl's your man if you want to get your hands on some of these new Doritos. And it's Mountain Dew Doritos. It's available. Australia, they're officially. Oh no, I can't read that one. It says they're officially the drunkest country on the planet right now with their new Mountain Dew Doritos. But yeah, they're Australia only right now. But they are a pack of Mountain Dew flavored Doritos.
The bass fishing show that just keeps giving information. Never-ending supply of knowledge. There are Dorito-flavored Mountain Dew chips in Australia.
I did not think we would ever combine Doritos with Mountain Dew in Australia in this show, but all right, back to the questions.
All right, let's see here. John in Kentucky wants to know, did you ever have to flip for a boat?
Absolutely. I flipped a guy y'all might know. His name is Kevin Van Dam for a boat at Gunnersville. And actually, if you go back in history, I was leading the points in the opens. And that's when you had to finish in the top 5 to make the classic. And I was leading them, and Kevin jackpotted Gunnersville. And I drew him out and had to flip him for the boat, and I lost.
How did that go down? Do you remember what happened?
Yeah, we caught like 6 or 7 pounds apiece the next day. And then the next day I caught 4 that weighed almost 20 and ended up finishing 6th in the points and missed the classic by 1 point.
Wait. We need to go back and revisit this. So he's jackpotting one. So it's not like he's fished the whole series. You're leading the points.
Yep.
Now, could he have just said, dude, you're leading the points and I'm jackpotting this. Let's just roll because let's put your fate in your hands. I mean, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying technically you didn't have to technically flip, right?
No, man, you didn't have to, but that was it. He wanted to flip for the boat, and that's how we do it. And I flipped, and we lost. And we tried to split water up a little bit, and it just didn't work out. We didn't really catch nothing that day. But the second day, I made the comeback. I caught 4 big ones, and I had one on about 7 pounds in the last 20 minutes skipping docks, and I just lost him right at the boat. And that's probably the fish that's hurt me more than anything, because he done jumped 2 or 3 times, and Then I come in and miss the classic by 1 point, and that classic, if y'all remember, was held on Logan Martin, a lake that I had fished a bunch and was probably at my prime at skipping docks. And I knew if I could get there, I'd have a shot. So I sit on the sidelines on a hard game to watch that year. And Dion Hidman won it, skipping docks.
Speaking of which, was it hard to, I mean, I saw you sitting in the big chair, the Academy chair, getting interviewed by Ronnie Moore there. I mean, was it hard to sit on the sidelines at Guntersville?
Absolutely, man. It really was. It was a life lesson, learning experience. I made the choice. And a lot of people ask me that. So, man, what do you think? I made the choice. It was my choice. I made the decision. I got to live with it. So I got to watch this game from the sideline. Did I want to be out there? Absolutely. But, you make choices in life, and you got to ride them out. If you make a bad choice, that's your choice. You get to watch the game. I watched the Super Bowl from the sideline, but it most definitely motivated me to want to get back to that Super Bowl status and get back out there and try it.
Hey, Chris in Kansas wants to know, what's Leanne's personal best?
Leanne's personal best, I did not have a set of scales, but when this interview's over, I'll find a picture and I'll send it in to you guys and let y'all guess. I thought it was between 10 and 12. I don't know. It was absolutely ginormous, and I was fishing in about a 60-acre private lake in Jasper, David Kilgore's lake, and she was throwing a Zoom ringtail worm on 16-pound monofilament Sunlight Supernatural, and she caught this big old fish, and she had done had her second surgery, so you'll notice her hands all jacked up. She's hollering, help me, and I'm like, nah, I believe you got him. And it was absolutely enormous. So that was her biggest one ever, and she's caught a couple in the 6-pound range with me, like fishing a jig, and she's caught a handful of 5-pounders out on the ledges at Guntersville, but she's caught one big one. And she was doing the running man in the back of the boat, and she reminded me that hers was bigger than mine that day.
It sounds like you need to start throwing mono more, Gerald. It's like every big fish story starts with monofilament.
Hey, there's something about that, because that fish she had, it ran through every tree and limb, and it just kept stretching. It wouldn't break. If I'd have had that fish on it, it would have broke off 20 times. And when it come by the boat, her rod was bent over on the side of that boat, and it's going all the way down. Still never broke. I'm like, I might ought to put on some 16-pound Supernatural and let it stretch away. I don't know. Hey, I'll send you the picture, and I'll let you guys guess, but it's a big one.
All right. How did you meet your wife?
She worked at the Coleman Bank, and I fished with Robin Cummins, which was the president of the bank, traveled with him some on the FLW tour, and she worked there as a loan officer, and I like to tell everybody she thought I had a big beacon, so she was attracted to me, but she says it really wasn't like that. She worked at the bank, and I always picked at the bank president. I was like, man, that chick's hot. And I'm like, man, if she's ever single, I'm going to marry that chick. And he called me one day and said, you're not going to believe this. She's single. I said, I'll be right up there.
Very nice. All right, Jeff in Tennessee wants to know, would you be up for making another West Coast run?
I probably would. I don't think it's out of the question to do another West Coast run. I think there's a lot of complications out there with some lakes and some, it's the biggest problem that everybody says is the travel. I don't think it's the travel as much as there's a lot of restrictions and boat cleaning and a lot of stuff has to be done to get us out there, so, but I would not have a problem going back.
All right. Ryan in Kentucky wants to know, have you ever fished Cumberland Lake?
Only one time, and it wasn't for a long period of time. I was there just kind of messing around. I hear that it can be good, and I hear that it can be tough.
All right, Steven wants to know, mono or fluoro in cold water, and what's your favorite walk-up music now?
Ooh, favorite walk-up music? I'll get back to that'd be the second part of the answer. Monofilament in cold water cranking only. If I'm cranking water that's below 50 degrees, I'm going to throw monofilament. Your hands are cold, so you're not as sensitive, so you won't hang as much because it's got more forgiveness. The fish are sluggish. I seem to land more of those big fish in the wintertime on monofilament versus fluorocarbon because of the stretch and, slows your reaction down. And you'll notice that the monofilament in super, super cold air temperature is much friendlier to cast. Colder water, you're throwing a lot more flat baits with shad wrap, flat-sided baits, so you're going to fight it more. So monofilament's your friend in that aspect. Favorite walk-up music right now probably be, I still like the Party Boys Flex, but somebody got it this year, so I might have to change mine up. I might have to write my own rap song.
Wait, I thought the walk-up music was kind of like if you're a veteran and you go to a new team, then someone's like, oh, this guy's been here for 20 years, so he can have number 6. It does. Like, who's got your music?
So one of the new guys.
Who's got it? You got to know who's got it.
Who got that? She don't remember. I know it was already taken, but I'm like, I'm a rookie back now, man. I'm a rookie. I got drafted over to the new team, so I don't know.
Like, think of your music and the stuff you've walked up to. Like, I'm thinking of the established vets, like Mark Menendez ain't going to walk up to nothing you do. Matt Herron probably isn't going to walk up to it. I just can't see Matt Herron, like, with trap music coming on stage.
No, he ain't going to be blowing the trap music out. He ain't going to be
so
no
it's
back
got to
move.
be someone that's been around for, like, 1, 2, or 3 years in all reality.
I think it is a newcomer. Like, I think he's his second year there or something. But, hey, he got it first. I'm still looking. I'm on TikTok. I'm looking for that new song. I did come out to at Palatka. I did Slim Shady. And I just kind of change it up from here. I'll kind of mess around with music. I got all kind of stuff that I like, but some of it you can't play in public.
All right. Big Polly wants to know, are you still sponsored by Boss?
Yes, Boss Baits with Cliff Pace. We're actually working on some baits, working on some spinner baits and some things coming out. We've had a little slower to get off to start with there. He's built a new shop, but yes, I'm trying to work with Boss and create some new baits, keep some things coming.
All right. He also wants to know, do you make your own jigs?
I've been known to. On my balling out, I don't have to. I just keep a big bulk bag of skirts. I throw same couple of colors. And on some flipping jigs, I mess around with them. I have a few different people make them, and then sometimes I pull the weed guard out and drill them and go up to a 40 strand weed guard heavy. I'd like to have a 50. Most jigs come with a 30, which that ain't gonna work, not for a flipping jig. So I like to pull them out, stiffen them up, and glue them back in. I got a few more tricks for the weed guard. I wish I could get it in a 55 strand because I talked to somebody about building one. It's like, why would you want that? I'm like, you can always cut weed guard out, but you can't never put it in the water. So I think for a flipping jig, it's a totally different animal. A guy needs to have a flipping jig that he's fearless with. When you come up on a tree, you don't need to be thinking, oh, God, I don't want to hang. That should never cross your mind. So I do customize a lot of my flipping jigs.
All right. You mentioned earlier Zoom, your longest sponsor that you've been with. It was your very first sponsor. How involved are you in product development with Zoom, Gerald?
It's weird. For years there with Ed there, he was such a great lure developer and designer. You really didn't have much input. He had it. You could go talk to him about baits. The Z-Crawl bait design was actually one of my ideas that I sat down with Chris Baxter and Eddie Wortham. I made it. I took some ringtail worms and cut them up, kind of made that bait. Took us about a year to get it right. But, more and more we're seeing that come about where they're reaching out because Zoom's got such a creative line of product. You really have to start thinking outside the box to create new stuff. And their deal is they don't want to create anything that doesn't really work. So they're not going to create just create some junk to put something new out. But I am involved. I do talk to them a lot about it. I do have a lot of secret colors that they pour me in the back. I mean, those guys are pretty legit.
I'm curious, and some guys out there may not know what this is, but even with the massive quantities of soft plastics that you have available, have you ever been into a situation where you had to do the lighter trick because you ran out?
Oh, yes.
What's one situation during a tournament that's taken place that you can remember?
I had, we were flipping, they was at Sabine, and I was flipping some of those trees with a little Z-Crawl. It's back before we had the Z-Crawl. It was like the Z-Hog, and I had one color that they had made me, and I flipped a bunch of them, and I didn't even think I was running out. And at the end of the day, they're all in there in the boat. So I was sitting in the room, and I'm with a cigarette lighter melting the centers of them back together again, But fishermen will do that. If they think they're running out of baits, they will melt them together.
Have you ever done that, Matt?
A little bit. I remember the very first time I ever used a bass tricks ever was on Toledo Bend, and we had 3 packs of them. And I kept telling the guy I was with, I was like, look at that fish following it. And he's like, that's a carp, dude. Shut up. And then one of the carp ate it, and it wasn't a carp. So then, of course, he wanted one. So then we were both throwing them, with the screw. This was before the screw and nose. This was when the only weighted hook available was the Falcon. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And you had to get the Falcon weighted hook. Well, they would just destroy that thing. And I remember every night we would go back in, and I mean, the bass chicks, the nose would be ripped out, the backs would be torn up, and we would be melting them back together for the next day. And by the end of it, it was just like fishing with a gummy worm by the end of the trip, because we only had 3 of those 6-packs, and they were eating it out there. This was a long time ago. It would have been 2008 is when it would have been. It would have been 2008. Because I just graduated college. But yeah, that's the only good melting bait backstory I had.
All right. Scott in Virginia wants to know, how many WEC crankbaits do you have?
We can't do this again. I got murdered last time we talked about this. Next question.
Just a number.
Don't let him answer it.
Just a number.
Don't let him answer it.
I got a bunch.
Okay.
I got a bunch.
Literally, there's a square bill or a wood bait deal on Facebook, and they freaking hated me and you for talking about that deal last time you were on. I had a buddy who's a moderator there, and he's like, "What the hell happened on today's show?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Well, everybody with that bait loves you and Gerald, and everybody without it really hates you guys right now." And it was like that for 6 months.
I've got 3 lure lock boxes slam full of them, and I've got some that honestly I don't think I'll ever fish. I carry them everywhere I go like a blanket, but I don't know if I'll fish them, man. I mean, this is the part of me with Ed. I just don't want to lose them. I'm sure if I get in a bind, I'll throw the mutt, but I try not to.
Hey, this is kind of a cool question. Ryan in Kentucky wants to know, when you were a kid growing up, what was your favorite go-to bait? In other words, what was the one bait that you felt that you were always going to catch fish with when you were a kid?
We talking about as a kid, like when I was riding a bike to the pond?
Yeah.
The Rapala used to make like a 2-inch floating minnow Rapala, and we could buy them at the hardware store. They kept them in a glass case. They only had one color, the black and chrome, and it was literally like that big. And I can remember going up there and buying them, riding my bike back to the pond and tying it on, and you would throw that little floating minnow out there and just twitch it and let it sit. If I had to catch a bass, that was it, baby. That was it. But when you only had one, and you're like, we would stay with my buddy, and his parents would be like, y'all don't get in the water. If you hung that, you'd be stripping down naked. You would swim out there, get that bait, and have to dry off in the sun, put your clothes back on so nobody knew you got in the water. You wasn't going to lose your little floating minnow.
Greg?
Let me ask this.
Okay.
One second. When was the last time you used an actual, a G11 or just a regular floating Rapala in a tournament situation? I talked to Bernie Schultz about this, actually, at the Classic. Everybody throws that thing when you're up in Canada on vacation, when you're fun fishing, when you're pond fishing. I can't remember one time in a tournament situation when someone threw it.
No,
recently.
I haven't.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, I think people they think the big one doesn't cast as well or something, and then they think baits are just as good. You got the prop bait by Rapala now that you think, well, that's kind of the same thing if I really slow it down, but I haven't thrown it. I can remember my dad beating me to death, man, with the original, like the 13 Rapala, whatever it was, or 11, just twitching it around trees and cypress trees. He'd beat you to death. I guess you just outgrow it. You just quit throwing it. Jesse Wiggins and I had a funny conversation. He was coming back from Texas, and he called me and said, "Gee, I guess I just forgot how to fish." And I said, "Nah, man." I said, "You remember me telling you that the more you learn, the worse you get at fishing?" He said, "I'm starting to believe it." I said, "I do think there's something to that. The more you learn, you just quit doing a lot of stuff that you used to do that catches them just because you learned something new." So I think it's just a process of that bait's been replaced with something else you learned, but we might want to go back and twitch it around. I guarantee you at the Sabine to catch them. Guarantee you if you had the patience to twitch it around at Sabine, you catch a big one on it.
Huh. Greg in Wisconsin wants to know, any idea how Derek Remitz is doing after his accident?
Remitz is back guiding. I've seen him out on the water a couple of times guiding. He still has the bent power pole sitting over on one side. He hadn't changed that on his boat at all, but he's still fishing and guiding. I think he's doing relatively well, kind of back on his feet, gained all his health back, and back out there guiding.
All right, Jets wants to know, do you think that lightning storms affect shallow fish?
They affect a shallow bedding fish, I can tell you that. The only thing will make them leave more than that is walking in a grocery store right now and coughing. You'll see people fleeing. That's what them fish look like with the lightnings at night. Shallow water bedding fish, super shallow clear water bedding fish on a lightning storm is gone. Gone. And it may take to noon the next day, or it may take to 4 o'clock before they settle back down. But it does have an effect on them.
What's the
you know who asked that question, right? Jet? That's Jacob, who drew me in the tournament on Saturday where we did catch Jack on Grand.
Oh, really?
And we were fishing shallow, and there was a lightning storm that morning.
Oh, that's awesome.
I just kicked you up under the bus.
You did. Well, you can go back. So that video's out on the BTL channel, and there's a part of it where I look back at him and I'm like, dude, just be honest with, like, are we doing? Do you think I'm doing anything wrong? Like, are we pulling up on stuff? And you're going, oh crap, we're fishing this bank. He's like, no, man, it's the lightning. And I'm like, I don't know about that. And he's like, no, it's the lightning. He's like, we're screwed all day.
It changes them. I know it really affects sight fish, and I could almost see it if they were super shallow and just got there and it was a big lightning storm, like one of those where it's not just a couple of boats of a quick thunderstorm. If it's one of them that like does that heat lightning all night, big white flashing lights and all that, you'll notice it messes. I think it changes their demeanor. They just don't seem to want to chase stuff as much.
Fair point. Wow. I don't feel as bad now. It wasn't me. It was Mother Nature.
That hussy, that old heifer got you again.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. A couple more questions, and then we'll let you go. A couple people want to know, what's the most memorable co-angler story that you've had over your career?
God, I've had a few. I had a guy get out on the bank and follow me down the bank with a big camera and try to take a picture of me taking a poop so he could put it on his Facebook page.
What?
That's pretty memorable. Yeah. Yeah, you can't make that up at Tiger King. Yeah, got out on the bank, followed me up in the woods like a snooper. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I thought I'd get a picture of you. I'm like, really? Yeah. Recover from that during the day. I've had some good ones, man. I've had some funny ones. I've had a few of the bad ones, but you know, I don't know. It's weird. Like co-anglers for me, like I end up being friends with a lot of them. I mean, I know everybody draws a bad co-angler every now and then. You know, I've drawn that guy that just couldn't wait to fish in front of you. I mean, his life wasn't complete unless he could throw in front of you. But I've also had them guys that fished out of the back of my boat, and they still come down and friends with me and fish out of the back of my boat. So I say probably one of the most memorable was that guy trying to take a picture of me. I'm like, that was the weirdest deal ever. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe this guy's, I don't know. You just have to think about that. You're up there with your britches down, scratching around like a turkey in dried leaves, and I look up, and there he is, looked like Sago sneaking around a tree with that camera. I'm like, good God, what are you doing? I thought I'd get a picture, be good for the blog. I'm like, what blog? It's weird. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
That's I don't know what to say after that, Gerald. Jeez.
Me neither. Hey, what do you say? The rest of the day, he's sitting behind you with that camera, and I'm like, well, this is weird.
Did he catch any fish?
No. Well, he was actually a marshal.
Oh, he was a marshal. Okay.
He was a marshal.
Wow.
Yeah. Get you some of that.
Let's see here. Matt says, I was your marshal on Wheeler in 2016, day 4. Ask him about Swipes Pond.
We smoked them in there, didn't we, Hammer? We went in there on a whim and blocked them. I said, dude, I can go in here and catch me a lemon. I might not catch you no big. Was the first one I caught was like a 3.5. I said, okay, scratch that original statement. I'm a dummy. But we got some bites in there, didn't we, Hammer? I missed a couple old big ones on a buzz bait because I suck at it. But that was one of them where I needed to catch them. I exhausted all efforts, and that's where it started. And I just told him, I said, man, I'm going in here. I've been in here a bunch as a kid, but I haven't been in here in a year or two. I said, but let's try it. And it was a little hairy getting in there, breaking and beating down trees and stuff. And we got in there and caught them.
Very cool. All right, man. Greatly appreciate the time. Kind of let people know what you have going on, at least during the break, where they can follow you, how they can stay connected to everything you have going on, man.
Absolutely. You guys can check out my Facebook page, my Instagram page. I'm actually doing a lot of YouTube stuff right now, so you can go click and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you don't, then you didn't think Carol Baskins killed her husband. You need to do that. Lulu and I are actually working on some great videos we're trying to put out. We're even going to try to do some instructional stuff. I'm even going to take her to the lake, and I'm going to get y'all's perspective on this. I thought about doing a couple of deals where I film her, where I'm trying to teach her how to fish a bait. So somebody who want to learn from a beginner standpoint up, maybe how to fish a Zoom super fluke or how to fish a jerkbait. So look for some Gerald and Lulu stuff coming. Nothing tests a marriage more than trying to teach your wife to sight fish, guys. Remember I told you that. Nothing. Building a house ain't crap. Teach your wife to sight fish. Woo!
Yeah, I'm with you, man. All right, be safe, Gerald. Tell everybody hello, and thank you so much for spending part of your day with us and with the fans.
No problem, guys. We're going to get through this. I think the fishing world's got it. I think you guys are doing a great job by keeping the fans something to watch. I really appreciate what y'all do. Y'all stepped up y'all's game. You're bringing more content. You're letting people know that fishing, we will get through this. It's a tough time. It'll pass. We're one of the greatest countries in the world. So everybody just hold tight, be patient. We'll be back up fishing tournaments before you know it.
All right, there you have it. Thanks, man. Take care, dude.
See you guys.
All right.
See you.
There you have it, folks. Gerald Swindle, and really good stuff, Matt.
Yep.
All right.
He knows what's up.
All right. Are you seriously considering going fishing this afternoon in this madness?
No, I'll probably just wait till tomorrow.
Probably a
It's
good
a little
move.
chilly out.
Yeah. Wow. That story about taking pictures in the woods, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that one. That's a dedicated marshal right there.
Jeez.
Maybe a little too dedicated.
Yeah. Should I say it? He was just trying to get the scoop.
Ooh.
I know that was bad. That was really bad. Anyway.
Ooh.
Yeah. All right. Next week, another round of great shows. We're going to kick off Monday, Jared Littner. Tuesday, Dean Rojas. Wednesday, Bradley Hallman in studio. And then we're going to do a Sunline Hotline show next week. I don't know, Thursday or Friday. We'll figure that one out. But thank you so much. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. Make sure if you're listening on iTunes that you give us a rating and a review, especially this time of the year, folks. It's going to go a long ways with what we're trying to do with BTL. And please support the companies that are supporting us. They're truly the ones that make this thing happen. All right, Matthew, be safe. I will talk to you soon, man.
Same to you, Mark.
All right, man. Take care. That's it, folks. We're out of here.